Welcome to Session Sunday. Hi guys, it's Jack Edwards and today's session is focusing around receiving skills. But before we get into this week's video, make sure to leave us a like and subscribe, and if you missed last week's video, click on the link above. Okay, so moving into the first part of this week's session, we're going to be looking at our receiving skills to open out and play forward. Okay, but before we get into it, let's have a look at how many players we've got and the equipment that we'll be using this week. So in terms of players, we're going to have 12 players, all outfield players, no goalkeepers. If you have goalkeepers, it's a good drill to get them involved and obviously being comfortable with using their feet, okay, and obviously working on their receiving skills to open out and, play to the centre-backs, play to full-backs, play to midfielders. And then in terms of equipment, we're going to be using balls, bibs, cones, and then poles later on, obviously, for small-sided goals. Okay, so obviously if you've got them, that'd be brilliant. In terms of the setup for this part of the session, okay, what we're looking for is having 30 yards of width and depth, okay, but obviously on the sides here, so obviously after 30 yards of width here, but we're going to cut off 5 yards each side, so then it just becomes 20, because obviously what we're looking to do is use the players on the outside to keep possession. So we're going to have two 2v2s in the middle. Okay, so what you want to try and do is, let's say you have your reds and your blues, or you have a certain amount of bibs. You can have one team and no bibs, one team with a certain amount of bibs on. Or even for the players, you just got to remember who's on their team more than anything. So they're going to be two balls going at once. Okay, so one can start here, one can start there. So the players are looking to keep the ball, open out, play to their teammates, and then play out. Okay, so they've got the 4 floaters on the outside. So we're going to have 2 reds v2 blues, 2 reds v2 blues. The ball gets played in, they're looking to open out, find their teammates, so both players have to touch the ball, and then trying to create an opening to play out. So then look, can they play forward? And then these players might be moving to an opposite side. Okay, so then where can we go? In terms of can we receive it again? Where's our player's movement? The 2 players might look to press. Okay, they win the ball. Okay, they look to play out instantly. So then the others have got to obviously react to that and try and transition. So we're just going to move these players just out the way for now, just so we can obviously get a better picture of what it looks like for the players. Okay, so obviously we've got to move around these players, so it's being aware of what's around us, scanning our surroundings, okay, checking our shoulders all the time. Our receiving skills, our ball control. Okay, so where's it going to go? So we're receiving it, we're opening out, so we're able to see all the areas of the pitch where we can pass to. Where's our teammate going to go? Are we going to entice one of the opposition in? Can we get a run into space, receive it, play out, make it difficult? Because if we're just playing in front, obviously, of the defenders, okay, it's easy for them to see. We play in, we play out, we keep playing there. We've got to have people moving. Okay, so it's that movement to receive. It's also movement to create space. So if this player plays out here, can they take a player away? For this player to receive it, they open out, we create some space in here, look to play, and then we can play back out. So we're making it difficult for the defenders by moving, and obviously when the other team, the other 4 players are in there as well, it becomes a bit more congested, but just means that the players have got to focus on their movement more as well. But they can also use that with another player being the decoy. So, one of the blues might be here, and it makes it difficult for the rest. They might think, oh, this bit's defended. You tell this player to move out the way, okay, and then there we go, there's that pass through. Okay, so it's about communicating as well, players taking ownership and responsibility in the session, okay, to obviously enable them to get the best outcome as well. After a couple of minutes, you can swap the players over, so it can be the blues might swap with the yellows or the reds might swap with the yellows, so players are both getting go in the middle receiving the ball, but also on the outside. We want the players on the outside having minimal touches, so as soon as that ball's gone out, take a touch, head up, look to get the ball back in, so keeping it moving and setting the tempo high. We will now move into our first animation before moving on to part 2 of this week's session. Now moving into part 2 of this week's session, we're now going to be making the drill what we've just done then, so focusing on opening out and playing. Okay, we're going to be making it a small-sided game. Okay, so we're going to increase it now to 30 yards width and depth. Okay, so the full 30 yards, so obviously it's a bit more of a square now, but we're going to have 4 small-sided goals, okay, for the players to play through. So the aim of the game is the team who plays through all the gates first wins. Okay, so obviously once they've played to this one, they can't play through, so then they've got to change the angle when they receive it. They can use the floaters, obviously, to stretch the pitch high and wide, to create space in the middle, to then play forward. So obviously the players might receive it in here, Okay, they've got to play to at least one of their teammates before they look to play through. So they're playing through here. Okay, this gate might get closed off. This player moves out. They could play into the floater, who set it in here, receive the ball, and play through. So working on those receiving skills, that movement to receive the ball, okay, the ability to play first time, our ball control, okay, our awareness, and then our confidence to get on the ball and play through. So it could be that somebody receives the ball here. We get runners out into space and we're punching a 15-yard pass through the gate, okay, so it's having that confidence to do it. The winning team stays on, okay, so the team that wins, so it could go on for a while. It could be the Reds get 2 and then the Blues get the ball back, transition, they play through, they get the ball again, and then it could transition again, and the Reds end up winning 4-3. Okay, so we're looking at a proper game, but we've got to be focusing on, like we say, in this area here, creating that space to receive the ball. Okay, so when our teammates have got it, providing support, but also recognising that the floaters can help out, so we can get, obviously, overloads in the wide areas, so obviously bounce the ball, create those triangles, then look to play, and then we're playing through. Okay, so it's creating that space quickly. Okay, so it's setting the tempo high, okay, and then having the vision to open up, okay, and punch the ball through. And then after that, teams obviously will swap over. It might get, after a couple of games there, the Reds might win 2, and then after that we give them a break and have the Yellows versus the Blues. So however you want to work it. Obviously, in terms of if you have more players, you can increase the size of the area. You could have, let's say, 16 players, 2 teams of 6 and 4 floaters on the outside. It could then be that you have 2 floaters in red, 2 floaters in blue, and the players just swap over, so the games might be a little bit longer as well. Or you might have less players, so you only have 10 players, you only have 2 floaters. So you might take these 2 players out and just have floaters working on these sides as well. So you just adapt it to the numbers that you're working with. We will now move into our next animation before moving on to the final part of this week's session. Okay, so moving into the final part of this week's session, we're now looking at a small-sided game, focusing on playing through, so we're going to be receiving in wide and central areas. Okay, so in terms of the setup for this part of the session, we're going to have 40 yards of depth, 30 yards of width, but it's going to be 30 yards in the middle. Okay, so we're going to have 5 yards either side of depth, 30 yards in the middle, and then 30 yards of width. Okay, so we're going to have floater on each end. You can change these at any given point. Okay. So we've got 3 areas in the middle marked out by cones. So we want these gates not to be too big, okay, just a few yards apart. So the team who's in possession has got to play through the gates. So what we're looking for is our receiving skills in terms of creating space to receive the ball, okay, opening out, playing forward, going to play to the side. The players can move freely wherever they want, okay. So what we're looking for is obviously the team out of possession is looking to win the ball. Can we get players obviously stretching the pitch, okay, constantly on the move in here. When we receive the ball, okay, where's our support coming from? Can players take opposition players into space to create space for other players to come into, open and out? We might get players moving from side to side, and then we look to penetrate through, use the floater, okay, and then go to the other side. The floater can even obviously support when the ball's been played through until they get the ball to the other side, and obviously if you want to as well, the floater can be enabled to pass through as well. So obviously what we're looking for from the players is our movements, okay? So creating space for our teammates, okay? So moving to receive it, not just for us, but also our teammates. So if we get a player move out into here, this player can move deeper. So if the ball's here, then when they receive this ball, can a player in the opposite row, in the opposite zone, okay? Can they come in to take a defender with them, okay? Which means somebody might be able to spin out. So we're constantly on the move, constantly looking to create space. All it takes is 1 yard for the player to come out. This ball gets played into here, so it's not through the gate, but can be played into space, and then this player can come across. So this player's took a player out. This player can get sucked into this player who's made a run, get the ball out, play through, and then play high, okay? So it's that movement to create the space for our teammates, the execution of our passes, a good first touch, okay? And obviously looking at our awareness, so scanning our surroundings, seeing where the space is, okay? Maybe playing on the blind side of the defender, so we're coming across them, okay? Stepping in front, so they're not expecting the movement, and then setting that intensity high, so moving the ball quickly, okay? And then providing lots of communication, so telling the player to spin out, telling the player to come short, go long, okay? To provide options for our teammates. And obviously we're looking to play as minimal touches as possible, so it's that open out, get our head up, okay? Where's the options? Move the ball quickly, okay? So it's hard to defend against. Get our movements, okay? Players might move out, okay? Players might move in. Simple as that, and then obviously we're looking to score by playing through and then getting the ball to the floater. We will now move into our final animation before concluding this week's session. Thanks for watching this week's video. Don't forget to head over to our website where you can sign up to access all of our content. And we'll see you next week for another Session Sunday.